The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of Green Acres and our guests. These general gardening tips and suggestions may work for you, as well as those from alternative sources. When using any garden products or tools, read and follow all label directions. And learn how to make your yard summer strong at bewatersmart.info.
The Green Acres Garden Podcast is the podcast dedicated to helping gardeners hone their growing skills while we celebrate our love of plants. So whether you're new to growing or a seasoned gardener, you're sure to learn something new. Join the fun as we have conversations with world-class growers, passionate green thumbs, and professional garden experts from Green Acres Nursery and Supply. Listen every week. We'll answer questions you didn't know you had. Hey there, and welcome one and all to the show. This is the Green Acres Garden Podcast. So glad you could tune in and make it today. We've got a great episode for you. I'm your host, Kevin Jordan, lover of leaves, planter of seeds, back in studio for another great episode. Actually, today we're going to discuss how to create a fabulous fall garden, or what to do if you absolutely refuse to take those instructions. So hopefully by the end of the episode, I will have either convinced you to plant a beautiful and fabulous fall garden, or you can hopefully put your garden to rest for the winter the right way. So we'll see. I'm back in studio with Austin. How's it going there, Austin?
Hey, buddy. Hello, Kevin, and hello to all of our listeners. Welcome back to the show. It's the best time of the week. Here we go. It's podcast time.
I am excited. So we've been on field trip these last few weeks.
Yeah, we have. We've seen some cool things, met some cool people.
A lot of good times at the Nature Center last week. Loved it. Mm-hmm. But hey, we're back in studio.
I love it.
For a family episode,
Good
just
to have
me and
bud.
you. Nuts and bolts. We are going to get right after it. Actually, I was out in the nursery today, so I feel like any day I can take some footsteps through the nursery. I'm feeling just a little bit better. That's
How
like my
was it?
happy place. I loved it.
Yeah? Were you talking to some garden people?
I did, actually, and I asked them about today's episode.
What did you ask them?
I told them, hey, I'm just talking about fall gardening from your perspective. They were experts, nursery folk. I'm like, what's your thoughts on fall gardening and growing in the cool season?
What'd they say?
First guy, Jacob, was like, do it. He's like, I love growing in the cool season. He's like, I think a lot of people overlook it because, and I totally agree, we get kind of really excited about our summer gardens, our tomatoes, and all of our fruiting vegetables. But he described, he's like, no, there's so much to be had in the cool season. He's like, there's less weeds. He's like, the heat isn't so oppressive, so the plants aren't stressed out. Even the pests seem to be less, and I would agree with that. So there's so many benefits to it. And a lot of the crops that you grow just can't really tolerate our heat. So if you want to grow some fresh greens, certain types of herbs, or things that you want to harvest maybe say in the spring and summer, like shallots, onions, and garlic, we've talked about that. Those kind of things need to be started now. So there's so many reasons to do it. So I appreciate that, Jacob. And then I talked with Storm, and Storm said timing is everything. Okay. And the time is now is basically what she said.
I have some questions about that.
Yeah, please.
I know we've been talking a little bit in the past about fall planting. You got to get these things in now. We were talking about seed, and we were planting garlic.
Yes.
We've been doing some cool stuff, and I'm wondering, because I'm feeling it. I'm feeling cold.
I was going to ask you, like, hey, is your garden planted yet?
It's not everything is in. So I'm concerned about if I've missed the boat on certain things. I'm sure other listeners are wondering too, can we still plant lettuce by seed?
Maybe leaf lettuce. Yeah, you can. You can. It would be best to get them in the ground as transplants right now.
Okay, so we're at that point.
Because the lettuce tends to not love the cold weather too much. So once those like a frost or heavy frost comes, it tends to kind of slow them down or even do damage once it turns into a freeze. But no, lettuce is still cool. But we're going to get into some crop selection that you can really plant. You're not too late. Austin, so if you or any of our listeners are worried, did I miss the boat or whatever? Absolutely not. But quickly, the window is closing because timing is everything.
It's go time.
So for me, get in there. There's folks we've been so fortunate to have a nice warm, super warm, hot, long summer. I've seen pictures online. People are still posting of their tomatoes, Austin.
Oh my gosh.
It's the end of October now, going to be beginning of November. People are still harvesting tomatoes that are like delicious and plump and juicy. But a decision may have to be made.
Yeah,
so,
mine are all gone.
So pull them out if you haven't already. You don't have to get too crazy and do so much digging. Take the no-dig approach. Look into that a little bit.
What's that?
Where you don't have to disturb your soil too much and dig out all the old roots of the plants. Just trim them back at the surface. They can decompose just naturally in there, and you can plant around them as needed. So trim out, remove all those spent plants, and get ready for a fall garden. So once you have those spent plants gone, start thinking about compost. I know we talk about it every week, but it's for a reason. You got to build up your soil. So adding a nice, composted mulch or just compost in general can be helpful. The worm castings, the bat guano, chicken manure, whatever is your organic matter manure of choice, get it in there, or maybe even mix them up a little bit, as I like to do. But really feed your soil and then get ready for planting. Right now, I actually went shopping for the school garden. We got so much broccoli. Like I said, we got shallot little shallot sets, I should say. And I'm actually stoked on. Have you ever grown shallots?
No, but I love eating them. Almost every time I go to the grocery store, I grab one or two.
It's funny. You see near the onions. The onions look so bold and big. You're like, what's this puny little onion there?
Oh, it's good.
They're so delicious.
It's good.
Oh my gosh. Caramelized and a little bit of olive oil or whatever. It's so good. So we're going to grow some shallots, of course, and some more garlic as well. But it's not too late.
How do the shallots look when you buy them? Are they
very much like when you buy them at the store?
They look
grocery
like
store.
that?
You're going to see them maybe as a smaller little set. A chunk of the bulb you'll break off, just like a garlic clove, and it's a geophyte. So you plant it. The base side down, pointy side up. They might need a little bit more space. I think we talked about in our garlic video, I did 2, 4, 6, which is even really tight for garlic. You could even probably spray that out even a little bit more if you wanted more space. So
2 inches deep,
2 inches
4
down.
inches apart, rows 6 inches apart.
So that's the very bare minimum for garlic. That's really tight, right? So for some people like them same depth, but maybe 4 to 6 inches apart, 8 to 10 inches apart. So everyone has their different thing, but I like packing them in.
I thought of a garlic question.
Please.
Somebody online was asking about elephant garlic.
Yes.
That's in the stores, right?
They do have it for sure. And it's not a true garlic, but they're all related for sure. But delicious, mild flavor. I mean, roast that, put it with some butter on some toast.
That's
Dude,
good
you're
stuff,
in heaven.
right? That's easy.
So good.
You grow that just like the other stuff,
Absolutely.
Right?
Just needs maybe a little bit more space, but
bigger.
not even much more. And they're fantastic. We've grown them as well, and with tons of success. And they're tasty. Maybe not quite as sharp of a flavor.
And then your broccoli. You bought broccoli starts.
So broccoli, cabbage, kale. Those are my go-tos right now for the cold weather. So you brought up lettuce. Lettuce is great, but for me, I like being able to go through the whole winter and not worry about, at this point in the season, and not worry about the cold weather. So things like chard, your beets, your kale, your broccoli and cabbage, they can all handle that cold kind of iciness we get, that light little bit of freeze and frost we get. They love that, actually. Kohlrabi, another one that you can grow right now. Delicious, weird little plant.
Yeah, what is kohlrabi again?
It looks, so it's related to brassicas. It's a cruciferous or whatever. And so the part you eat is actually a modification of the stem. It's a bulbed out stem. It just looks wild, almost like a beet, but it's above ground. I believe the leaves are also edible.
I need to look up recipes that use it because I don't even know how to
give it a shot.
I keep watching these Korean cooking shows, and they're always using kohlrabi and radish.
Yes.
And we could be putting radish in too, right?
Hey, you hit the nail. Radish is a great plant to plant right now, especially for new people that are new to gardening and growing and just want to have some success. Plant a radish seed and then wait 1 month or even less, actually, and you will be like, I'm a farmer. I'm gardening. I did it. Because they sprout, grow, and they're ready to harvest so quickly. And you brought up radish. There are some incredible radish varieties that get massive. Some have different colors and flavors. They're crunchy. Some are spicy.
Right.
They're awesome. So explore if you're into radishes at all.
I know.
Plant them.
Grow them. I've grown the little red ones, but these ones on these shows, they're big.
The daikons are massive. That's the Asian style. The French breakfast ones. There's ones that are like almost like a thumb. They're so cool. I like them a lot. There's the watermelon radish ones now that are popular. So those actually like the cool weather as well. Celery is another one. If you want some flavor, and I brought this up in the past, cilantro. Loves our cool weather. So we're here in zone 9B. We're very thankful we can grow pretty much every moment of the year.
But you say cilantro grows best this time.
Whenever I've grown it in the heat of the summer, it did not repay me. It bolts. Yeah, it bolts out of there.
And you said it tastes even better in the fall.
Yes. If some people go, I don't like it, it's soapy or it's tangy. It's like, no, grow it in the cool weather. It has less of that tang to it, I feel like.
That.
And but I love it.
That's still a real thing. There's some genetic thing
where people taste things differently.
Yeah, but maybe it's less.
I love
it's grown
it, man.
properly.
Dude, put that in some noodles. or in salsa or whatever. I'm into it.
Put it on my tacos.
Yes. Onions, onion sets, onion transplants. Right now, I saw those at the nursery as well. And pretty cool to see different varieties. And there's nothing, I think there's a few things more satisfying than actually pulling up. Like you talk about the garlic, that's satisfying, going whoop and popping a garlic out. But an onion, a full like Walla Walla or something where it's like bigger than a softball, spinach, chard, your beets. Come on, forget about it. There's so much you can grow right now that's definitely worth giving it a shot. Like I said, we brought up broccoli. Broccoli is killer. You can. I do in Romanesco, cauliflower as well. Brassicas are boss for me in the wintertime, so I'm all about it. And I'm also just on a side tangent. I'm looking forward to the citrus season.
Okay.
Yeah, I was driving up the mountain today. I was like thinking about having flashbacks of our time at the Mandarin Festival.
The Mandarin Fest is coming up.
Is it?
Yeah.
Are we going?
I don't know. We should book
Dude,
that.
we got to go. We certainly have to. I love mandarins. I love citrus. Calendar. And my son, my oldest son, is like hooked on them now. He just eats them like for dessert by the handfuls, which is fantastic. So just it's that time of the year. I feel like you can get out in the garden, you can get so much done, and you can grow a ton. And the one thing we loved about the garden in the cool weather compared to the summer gardening, if you've ever grown things like summer squash, you know they need to be kind of tended to almost daily for harvesting. You go out one morning, it's the size of like a gherkin. By the end of the day, it's like a Neanderthal war club.
And then you got to get it.
And then you got to harvest it or do something with it, right? But I've noticed in the cool season, I feel like the plants kind of just, they go about their time. The only time you really need to kind of get in there and harvest is maybe when your broccoli crowns are looking good. But even then, it's not day to day.
But it's a different pace.
It's a different pace. And so it's cooler, less weeds, less bugs, less heat. I mean, just there's so many benefits to it. And so I think a lot of people sleep on it. They put so much effort in there. It's like, no, if you're going to sleep on it, hey, take a break in the warm weather, go hardcore in the cool weather. I'm going to throw that out there. Flip it.
We got to flip-flop this.
Well, that actually takes me into our next topic, which I think could be a whole episode in and of itself. And it has to do with building your soil and cover crops.
Okay.
And so you brought it up, do it in the summertime. There are cover crops you can plant right now. There are some you can plant in spring, and there are some that you can plant for the summertime. But can we focus on the ones right now?
Let's go for it. So let's talk cover crops.
Pretty cool. So for those of you who don't know, a cover crop is something that you plant for a number of reasons. Actually, some of the benefits are so incredibly numerous. So just to list a few, is that when you plant cover crops, you can break up clay layers, your subsoil. It helps those roots kind of infiltrate and break that up. The cover crops can provide habitat for different insects, for the prey insects, for nectar, for pollen, and all the beneficials out there. It's fantastic at that. It also increases the water infiltration. So just those roots growing in there, it actually allows your soil to actually absorb more water just by their presence. It also provides erosion control. So if you have a slope or an area where you just don't want the soil to kind of disappear from the wind or whatever, it can help kind of keep that soil locked in place. And one of the main things is it really helps build up the soil's organic matter and to improve the structure of the soil. So there's so many reasons, and that's just a few of the many. It actually just provides competition for weeds even. So if you have a garden and you notice you left it empty for a while, over time, weeds kind of just slowly make their way back into that bare soil. Cover crops, you can kind of select, no, I'm going to have a plant grow there and not the weeds. I want to out-compete you. And so some of the ones we're going to list out today are ones that can do just that. And what's kind of cool is different cover crops can do different things.
Oh.
So it's wild. So if you have any questions, please fire away.
Yeah, well, I think that maybe let's get into the specific kinds, and then I'll think of questions related to those. So the first one that I think we should talk about is buckwheat. I don't know if we've mentioned it, buckwheat, before. So we've got this crop here called common buckwheat.
My favorite little rascal.
And the little rascals. So I'm told here that buckwheat is excellent for mining the soil for phosphorus, which contributes to root, flower, and fruit growth, making it accessible to plants as it decomposes. And right away, that's my question about the decomposition. So cover crops, we'd say, are good for your soil biology because they fix nitrogen into the soil through the roots.
The legumes,
But my question is, do you have to let them decompose? Or what if you pulled them out at the end of the season like roots and all, did you just lose all the benefit of growing that there, or do you have to like work it into the soil?
I think it depends on what you're trying to do. Like for once, they did serve a purpose. They probably crowded out some weeds. They kept the soil locked in place for that amount of time. But if you really want to maximize what you get out of it, you do the chop and drop. So you don't necessarily want to rip them out. But right as they start to mature, right as those first flower buds begin to kind of just show they're even kind of starting to form, people will cut them down and chop them and drop them right into the soil. And some people let them rest right there and rot right at the surface. Some people might dig them in and fork them into the soil a little bit and let them decompose that way. But chop and drop is a great method for if you want to kind of, it's using what they call green manure. So you're using all that biomass, that organic matter that's locked away in those stems and leaves, and then basically cutting it and dropping it right where it is, and then letting it compost in place.
Okay, so this is important that you do this chop and drop, because the benefit is it's in the plant still and it has to break down.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the roots that you leave behind for legumes, they have these nodules that grow off their roots that work in tandem with rhizobium. Have you heard that word before?
No.
So rhizobium is a soil bacteria, and that grows in relationship with legumes. So your peas, your fava beans, right? You know, I love those. And it grows kind of with them and helps them kind of fix nitrogen from the atmosphere and then put it into the soil. So if it's nice if that can be left behind and just kind of dug up and left, in the dirt for future use.
Wow.
So it's pretty cool.
So that came from buckwheat, and it says specifically that buckwheat is really good at getting phosphorus into the soil.
Well, as we know, that's one of the...
is that one of the macros?
Yeah, so NPK, that's the P.
Okay.
So that's the phosphorus. So
that's a big one.
Yeah, root development, fruit and flower development, that's killer. So roses, all your fruiting vegetables, tomatoes.
They all need it.
They all need that for sure. So and I know that buckwheat can grow quickly. It also breaks down quickly in the soil. So that can be really helpful. One of the ones that Greg sent over that I'm kind of stoked on is, I just mentioned it, fava beans.
Yeah.
So really cool plant. And I know the bean pods, people cook with them. And
you eat it, right?
It's a culinary thing. Remember when we went out and visited our friend Cisco Darling? She had us eating the leaves, and they were delicious.
Right.
So fava beans, they are legumes. They are the ultimate green manure, as Greg puts it. They fix nitrogen in the soil, increasing soil fertility at the same time without needing any added fertilizers. They have edible leaves and flowers, and they do well in the cold weather.
Sounds good.
So, and they get pretty good size, dude. If you plant them now, by the end of the winter and into spring, they're like waist high. They can get pretty good size.
So you mentioned with the buckwheat that you would chop it as soon as it starts to flower. Do you do that same kind of deal with this?
You could. It depends what you're growing it for. Okay. So if you're going to grow it to eat, then you grow it and just how you would anything else. Let it mature. If you want it to chop it in and add the biomass, then just right as those first flowers start to form up, then you can cut it down, because a lot of the nutrition, a lot of that nitrogen that they fixed, they'll end up using
to make the flowers.
So it's kind of right when you see them, kind of reach a certain point, you can want to chop and drop.
I don't know if I ever made that connection before.
But it really depends on what you want them for. Like I said, if you still want to eat it, or if you want something to be alive in your garden and still be there. But
when it makes the beans, is that going to be in the spring? If we put these in now?
It's going to be, it's going to take a few months. It'd probably be in our winter to be
still in the winter.
But into spring as well.
Okay.
Depending upon when.
So in January, February, you might be chopping these.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or eating.
Yeah, there we go.
Maybe do a little bit of both.
Okay.
And some people will plant certain plants that grow a lot of organic matter, branches and leaves, just for the organic matter, just so they can have that biomass added to their soil to increase the level of organic matter. It's just that black, just rich earth that you want to create. You can kind of do it yourself. You can go buy it in a bag, or you can kind of grow it and make your own. So it's pretty awesome.
Cool. All right. So I want to do the next one.
Oh yeah.
Greg sent this over. The next cover crop we're going to talk about is hairy vetch. And I guess I got excited because it's such a weird name.
It is cool. That's going to be like your nickname from now on.
My name?
Yeah,
I don't know.
the bearded bad boy.
I am. Yeah. So the hairy vetch is a hard-working, fast-growing cover crop. It grows quickly and densely, smothering and helping to prevent weeds in the garden. It acts as a blanket to your soil, preventing erosion from wind or water, and deep roots grow, feeding soil organisms and improving soil structure and water retention. So it's got all of the benefits you've mentioned so far. It's fixing the soil. It's making the soil nice. It's preventing weeds. It grows very thick and dense. I like that.
I see this one used a lot in like small scale farms for cover crops. You'll see it a lot. Winter time, they'll just cover rows, stuff that they were growing tomatoes in, all summer long.
What is it though? I'm saying it's hairy vetch, but like, what kind of plant is this?
It grows kind of viney, but on the ground and kind of just on top of itself. It has these beautiful little purple flowers on there.
Oh.
If folks listening, if they live near our region, Sacramento, you see it sometimes along the American River Parkway. Actually, where we were at last week, sometimes it just goes wild out there.
Oh, it does.
You'll see it. It's kind of out. It's purple, and it's just sometimes you go to the foothills areas of the mountains. You'll see it kind of out there in the springtime or in the fall. It depends how warm it is where you're at. But yeah, you'll see it all over the place.
I'll have to look for
on the sides of the road, you'll see it there, kind of just growing wild. So I've had it kind of naturalize in my own garden at the school.
Oh, what does that mean?
In our pollinator garden, where it got in somehow, and then now it's just there sometimes.
And it reseeds itself.
And it just reseeds. Sometimes I even have to pull it out in some areas because it's in our ornamental area. So okay, if I don't want it, so I'll take it and then chop it up and use it as compost.
You're like, I'll let you go a little bit, but not too much.
Yeah, for sure. They're fantastic. They're actually quite pretty. But yeah, it's a really good blanket for the soil. Preventing erosion, like we talked about earlier. So that one's really good. Like I said, so if you have a hillside or something like that, or the area kind of has rough soil, that's a plant that can pretty much grow anywhere. At least it seems like it. All right, now the next one that Greg sent over, this one's pretty cool. It kind of sounds like a character from Game of Thrones. This is Lacey Facilia. And it's a cover crop as well, also known as the blue tansy or bee's friend. This is actually kind of cool. This one is a California native, Austin.
Oh,
so this
nice.
kind of ticks a lot of boxes for all you, all of our eco friends out there. I should have called this. I wanted to call you and I the biodynamic duo.
Oh, jeez.
A new nickname for us, the biodynamic duo, because this is kind of biodynamic. It's cool. So it's a native that adds nitrogen, improves soil, and decreases erosion. It flowers later with bell-shaped violet flowers that make great cut flowers.
Ooh.
And it's very drought tolerant. The plant attracts pollinators, including our native bumblebees, bee flies, and honeybees.
Wow.
That is in it. The plant itself. All these seeds too, by the way, are all from Botanical Interest. Good friend of the podcast.
And I think Hedgerow Farms sells this as well.
Yes. Oh, wow.
So this, and man, you are ticking boxes with this one because you're talking about how it's good for pollinators and it's a native. This is huge.
Yeah, and it's a cover crop.
Lacey Facilia, we need to be getting this out there to the people more. This is a big one.
Yep, so it enriches the soil. It's one of the best pollen-producing flowers for honeybees out there. Boom.
Wow.
Enough said.
Boom.
Pretty cool. So
Mic drop.
Lacey Facilia, very cool. Yeah, and the blossoms, the picture on it, it makes it look pretty interesting. Very wild looking, for sure.
Have you grown this one?
No, I haven't. That's the first time I've ever heard of it.
Really?
Yeah, very cool.
Breaking news, everybody.
It says so, yep. That's very cool. Looking forward to planting that one.
Cool. Okay, so there's Lacey Facilia. I think I want to try putting that in my garden.
Why
but
not?
The next one is the one I'm the most excited about. I tried to grow this before, and I had not the best success. I put it in a dumb spot. But I'm going to do this one again and do it better. This is crimson clover, and this is excellent at nitrogen fixing. It has deep red, beautiful flowers.
Yeah, they're gorgeous.
It invites beneficial insects like bees and ladybugs, and it's very fast growing. So it can give you, all the benefits. Oh, and it also can be harvested and dried to make tea, which I've never done. Maybe that'd be a fun project.
I haven't had the tea from it, but we have grown this in some of the gardens with my students.
It's so pretty.
Fantastic.
I love it.
And what's kind of cool is that It does help with the soil and do all that, but it's like we talked about earlier. It creates a habitat. It brings in those beneficials, and that's kind of something that's kind of nice to do this time of year when we put a lot of that effort into spring and summer, bringing those beneficials into the garden. But they need somewhere to go during the cool season. Some of them migrate and leave, but it's nice to be able to have maybe a little haven and try to lure them in as soon as you can. So crimson clover, a beautiful one.
This one lures me in.
Yeah.
This one is just pretty looking. And I'm now curious a little bit about, now we've brought up some of these cover crops, and I'm curious about the care needs for these. Specifically, I guess, sun and water. Are they all kind of in the same realm for their needs?
Yeah.
Are there big differences?
All the ones we listed can handle full sun to partial sun. They'll probably appreciate,
More
a lot of these
better.
can handle some, different types of soil, which is kind of nice compared to some of the other crops we always talk about. These ones maybe can be a little more tolerant of some not the best soil, but they will help you build up that soil, which is nice. But really, most of it, once you get them sprouted, keep them watered. If we go through a dry spell, consider that as far as maybe turn on the irrigation system or give them, a nice wanding with the shower nozzle.
But they wouldn't need that anyway?
Whatever you would do to your normal vegetables, you can do with them, but with almost even less care, I would say.
Oh.
Because for me, once we kind of got them in, then we had to just make sure they were, especially in the winter, once we get some rains and they're established, they're kind of off doing their own thing.
So they don't need like a water regiment of their own. That's
If you notice the soil's dry and we have no rain on the horizon, then water them for sure. But if the soil's wet, then no need to water it.
Wow.
Yeah, and they're easy going. So once they get established, you can kind of go hands free a little bit. But people will know their garden. Your plants will talk to you when it's been dry for too long and we haven't had rain for a month or so, and give them a shot. But hopefully we'll get them started, and then Mother Nature can kind of take it from there.
I like that. If I don't have to just be stressing about these and they can do their own thing and provide all of these benefits, and then later I can either eat some of them or chop and drop them and work them in and get that soil looking better and better, this sounds like a no-brainer.
For sure. And you could do, because you have a pretty good garden space, you can do whole swaths of them, or you could literally do borders of these just to bring in some of those beneficials.
Well, I'm for sure going to put in crimson clover this week and the lacy Phacelia. This is like kind of new to me, this one, and it seems really, really great. So I'm going to be putting those in, the crimson clover and the lacy Phacelia. We'll see how it does.
Yeah, that'd be worth a shot for sure. Now, if we haven't convinced you to plant veggies, herbs, or even cover crops, and you're like, I'm done. I'm taking a few months off. I'm going to worry about
sabbatical.
the holidays. Totally get it. I'm fine. But do one last thing. Cover your beds and let them rest just like you would if you were out freezing in the wild and you needed a blanket to survive.
What would that be?
Leaves, mulch.
Oh.
Right? So come in if you don't really want to plant, and like I said, you're going to take the time off this winter. I get it. Throw down some compost. Cover that with a nice thick layer of mulch. You can use straw mulch. You can even just use leaves. From your trees, your neighbors' trees. Pack it in thick. You can put it in a barrel and grind it up with your weed trimmer if you have to. But I'm telling you, the organic matter locked away in those leaves, if you just piled up on your soil, it's going to protect from all the erosion. It's going to break down over the course of the next few months, and it will become soil. And it'll not only nourish your soil, it will protect it, and it will help build the soil. So if you don't do the cover crops and you don't plant a garden, at least cover your garden beds with leaves, with mulch, and I'm telling you, you'll be doing something good for yourself.
Cool. You got it, man. I promise.
Yes. No. Yeah, you as well.
But I'm actually going to be putting cover crops in.
Yes.
As well as some food.
I might have some seedlings for you.
Okay.
I know a place.
Well, thank you so much, Kevin, for breaking this down. And thank you to Greg, actually, for sending us some of these specific cover crops to look at, and some ones that we're learning about, like this lacy Phacelia. So I think this is great. Everyone should be doing this. It's very exciting. Kevin, go ahead and take us out.
Dang, another fantastic week talking plants. Well, I hope you all can create yourself a fabulous fall garden that maybe includes some vegetables, some herbs, and some cover crops.
Absolutely.
Take care. You got to add that compost. Really, it's a complex simplicity to this garden thing. I'm telling you, it seems complex, but it's truly simple. I'm telling you, you brought the cover crops, Austin.
Yep.
They're key. They're killer. So if you can't do the fall garden, do the cover crops. You can't do the cover crops, do the mulch and leaves. And you do that, I'm telling you, you will be happy come this spring and summer. Well, we got to get back to it. Another garden to go get into, more trouble to be had.
Yeah.
Thank you so much to all of our listeners for tuning in each and every week. You know, I wanted to bring up something, Austin.
What's that?
I know
What do you
that
got?
this is the end of the episode, but you know how we love our aunties around here.
Yes.
We've had your auntie on before. We love our aunts. And I have an aunt, my Aunt Marcia. She listens every week. She listens to multiple episodes each week. Like she'll go back.
She's getting caught up.
So she's a big fan. My aunt. So it's a big shout out to Auntie Marcia. We love all of our aunts out there.
Hey, Auntie Marcia, thanks for listening.
There we go. And so a big shout out to Auntie Marcia and all of you aunties and uncles out there. Thank you so much for loving all our nieces and nephews. We need it. Until next week, garden friends, happy fall gardening to you all. And please never stop growing.